6:58 p.m., July 15th, 2025. Medical and health. In the quiet town of Ravenwood, nestled among mislaced hills and shadowed forests, the townspeople lived with a peculiar awareness of silence. It wasn't the kind of silence that brought peace. It was the sort that prickled your skin and made your bones ache, as if the land itself was holding its breath. Ravenwood was old, far older than any maps claimed. Its foundation was built upon the ruins of a forgotten settlement, a village lost to time and spoken of only in half-truths and hushed whispers. Few dared speak its name, and those who did never said it twice. Eleanor Dane, a curious yet reclusive historian in her late 30s, had returned to her childhood home after inheriting her grandmother's ancient manor at the edge of the town. The manor, called Briar Hollow, stood like a forgotten sentinel among thorns and ivy, untouched by time but haunted by memory. Eleanor hadn't planned on staying, but when she stepped into the manor and smelled the faint scent of lavender and old books, she knew she couldn't leave, not yet. The house creaked with secrets. Every corner held a whisper, every mirror a shadow. In the attic, she found trunks filled with journals, faded photographs, and newspaper clippings dated back to the 1800s. Most interesting of all was a locked chest, its surface carved with runes she didn't recognize. A folded letter sat atop it. To whomever finds this, the truth of Ravenwood sleeps beneath. Do not disturb the quiet, lest it wakes again. Eleanor M. Dane, 1879. The signature bore her name, yet the date was nearly a century before she was born. She laughed it off as coincidence. Over the following days, Eleanor delved into the town's forgotten history. She visited the local library, now dusty and rarely used. The librarian, an old man named George Carow, warned her with trembling hands not to go too deep into the hollow days. Some truths, he said, were buried for a reason. But Eleanor was relentless. Every night she read by candlelight, piecing together fragments from books, journals, and folklore. The name Raven Glen appeared multiple times, a settlement that once stood where Ravenwood is now. It had vanished mysteriously sometime in the 1700s, following a series of disappearances and unnatural events. What caught her attention most was the mention of the Whispering Ones. The legends said they were not ghosts, not demons, but memories of things too old for the world. They lingered beneath the earth in the deep caves under the woods. They spoke in dreams. They fed on secrets. One night, while Eleanor reviewed one of her grandmother's diaries, the lights flickered and went out. Rain lashed at the windows. She lit a candle and continued reading. Her grandmother had written about the Black Hollow, a hidden cave system under the estate. "I hear them when it rains," she wrote. "They call to me from below. Their voices are beautiful and terrible." Lightning flashed. Eleanor froze. A whisper. Soft, like a breeze through dead leaves. It wasn't in the room. It was in her head. She stood slowly and followed the sound. Down the creaking stairs, through the parlor, past the grandfather clock that hadn't worked in decades. She found herself in the cellar, the door ajar though she had never opened it. A spiral staircase of stone led downward, deeper than any basement had a right to go. She hesitated, the candle trembling in her hand. Then she descended. The air grew colder, damp. The walls were lined with roots that moved as though breathing. Symbols like the ones on the chest glowed faintly in the dark. She descended for what felt like hours, and when she reached the bottom, she found an archway of bone and stone. Beyond it, the Black Hollow. It wasn't just a cave. It was a place outside time. Eleanor's step. 6:59 p.m., July 15th, 2025. Medical and health. Julian Maris had seen many strange things during his years as an archaeologist, but nothing unnerved him like the symbol burned into Eleanor's wrist. They stood in the candlelit study at Briar Hollow as rain once again hammered the windows. "You said it was a dream," Julian said, his voice low. "But you woke up with mud on your feet and ancient symbols glowing on your skin. This isn't sleepwalking, Elle. This is something else." Eleanor nodded. "The Black Hollow. It's alive. It remembers me or someone I used to be. Julian examined the books she had collected, texts on ancient rituals, forgotten gods, and entities older than recorded time. He stopped on a sketch of the same spiral symbol on her wrist. I've seen this in a monastery in the Pyrenees. Julian Maris had seen many strange things during his years as an archaeologist, but nothing unnerved him like the symbol burned into Eleanor's wrist. They stood in the candlelit study at Briar Hollow as rain once again hammered the windows. You said it was a dream, Julian said, his voice low. But you woke up with mud on your feet and ancient symbols glowing on your skin. This isn't sleepwalking, Elle. This is something else. Eleanor nodded. The Black Hollow. It's alive. It remembers me, or someone I used to be. Julian examined the books she had collected, texts on ancient rituals, forgotten gods, and entities older than recorded time. He stopped on a sketch of the same spiral symbol on her wrist. I've seen this in a monastery in the Pyrenees, he whispered. It's a mark of oath. A pact sealed with something beyond death. Eleanor's breath caught in her throat. Then it's true. The whispers. The visions. I'm connected to that place. They spent the next day preparing. Julian insisted on protective measures, charms, salt rings, incantations from ancient sources. That night, under the blood-red moon, the cellar revealed its staircase once more. Down they went. Eleanor led. Julian followed, lantern in hand. The air thickened as they descended. The deeper they went, the more Eleanor felt herself unraveling. Memories returned, not hers, yet within her. A village called Ravenglen. A girl named Rowena. A betrayal. The same bone arch awaited them at the bottom. Julian stepped through first. Eleanor hesitated, then followed. The Black Hollow had changed. It was larger now. The walls pulsed with crimson veins. Shadows danced without light. Whispers became words. Welcome back, daughter of the Hollow, the voices said in unison. Julian stumbled, clutching his ears. They're inside my head. Eleanor steadied him. Focus. We need to find the core. The place where the voices originate. They ventured deeper. Suddenly, the cave opened into a massive chamber. In the center stood a black stone monolith, covered in runes. Around it, bodies, petrified and still, their mouths agape as if caught mid-scream. Some wore clothing from centuries ago. Some were recent. Julian approached the monolith, his hand trembling. This is the memory vault, he said. It stores the minds of those who came before. Their thoughts, fears, lives, all trapped here. Eleanor stepped closer, and the runes on the monolith began to glow. Her vision blurred. She was no longer in the cave. She stood in Ravenglen, centuries ago. People screamed. Fire raged. A woman, her, but not her, stood at the edge of a pit in the earth, chanting in a dead language. The whispers rose from the pit, feeding on the fear and fire. Rowena, a man cried out. Stop this. You'll doom us all. But Rowena turned with hollow eyes and whispered. It is already done. Then the pit swallowed everything. Eleanor gasped and fell backward. Julian caught her. What happened? I was there when the hollow was open the first time. I was Rowena. Or maybe her soul lives in me. Julian's eyes widened. Then you're the key. You started this. You can end it. Suddenly, the chamber darkened. From the walls emerged figures made of shadow and memory, their voices overlapping. You belong to us, Rowena. You open the gate. You must feed it. Julian pulled Eleanor behind him. What do they want? To become real, Eleanor whispered. To walk the earth again. The monolith pulsed. A choice was being forced. She could open the gate fully, allowing the whispers to merge with the world, or seal them forever, but at a cost. What cost? She asked aloud. The voices answered as one. Your soul. Your memory. All that you are. Eleanor turned to Julian. If I do this, I won't remember you. I won't remember this life. Julian shook his head, tears in his eyes. Then don't do it. We'll find another way. But she knew there was no other way. Ravenwood will fall if I don't. It already has once. She stepped toward the monolith. The shadows tried to stop her, but Julian held them off with fire and symbols carved from salt. Eleanor placed her hand on the stone. It burned. Her vision faded. She felt herself unraveling. I seal the hollow, she said, her voice strong. Let the past die. Let the whispers sleep. The chamber screamed. Light exploded from the monolith. When Eleanor awoke, she was lying on her bed in Briar Hollow. Sunlight filled the room. She sat up slowly. Her wrist was bare. No mark. No memory of why she felt so empty. Downstairs, Julian sat reading a newspaper. She walked over, confused. Do I know you? He looked at her, sadness in his eyes. Not anymore. She tilted her head. Have we met? Julian stood, gave a small smile, and said, No. But I think you saved this town. And he walked away. Outside, Ravenwood breathed easy. The air felt lighter. The silence, no longer ominous. Deep beneath the earth, the hollow slept once more. But in the darkest part of the cave, one whisper remained.